Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football, along with our producer, Logan Landers, our host, Vincent Turner. I'm Harper LeBel, and this is the NFL edition of the show. We want to talk about what's going on in the National Football League. And, Vincent, we begin with news that took place in between the last week that we had games and the practice week. The Chicago Bears have already made one of their first decisions to make a move. You're going to see the NFL is a very difficult and a tough business. And if you don't win or if you don't produce, they're going to find somebody else. And their first fire, we have Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator, was let go by the Chicago Bears. He took over for a guy named Luke Getsy, who was fired about this time last year. And Luke was the coordinator with the Raiders. Long story short is Bears aren't getting it done. They started out by scoring a lot of points and protecting their quarterback, but in the last couple of weeks, they haven't been able to do so. I think it's easier for the head coach, the general manager, to make a decision to just make one move rather than have a bunch of different pieces. But Vincent, first of all, let's get your thoughts here on what the Bears are doing and the progress that they hope to make here throughout the rest of this season.
Well, I'm really glad that we are talking about this situation here because I'm a gentleman that I'm on social media a lot. I see a lot of things said, especially during the Chicago Bears and their websites and their social media groups. And also to some of these NFL draft guys. I'm not going to bring up names, but guys who were calling Caleb Williams an epic bust before the season started. That really bothers me to a certain extent. And I'm pulling for the young man. Let me say that first. If you watch the Bears closely, because I watched Caleb Williams, I watched his first 4 games of the season, and I knew that it was going to be a long year because the offensive line was horrible. And Harper, you played this game at a high level, and I want I'm going to watch my language today. This guy gets respect on his name because he played 11 seasons. Your people that's writing, you never touch the field and you never play the game. All you do is watch film. That's all you do. So, Harper, I'm going to ask you this. Common sense, if a quarterback that's coming into the league and you put him in a pressure situation, he's the number overall pick, and he doesn't have an offensive line, what's going to happen, man? Can you explain that today?
Man, it's like the old Nike commercials with Spike Lee. Bad things, man. Bad things are going to happen. You got to protect your quarterback.
And this is the thing that really bothers me the most. Through all what Caleb Williams has went through, his 9 games, he's won 4 games as a rookie. 4 games. And if you go back last week against the New England Patriots, he was sacked 9 times. Now, I don't know about firing the offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. I read an article where when Caleb Williams was having success in the middle of the year, they was doing a lot of play action. It was like 40%. But now over the last couple of weeks, when they lost 3 in a row, they went down not calling play action so much. And I don't know that's what got Shane Waldron out of there. But I'm going to say this. The head coach, to me, doesn't have control of the team. Remember, Chicago lost that game to Washington a couple of weeks ago. What was that defensive back doing on the Hail Mary? Playing with people in the stands or arguing with them. To me, that's a coach that doesn't have control of the team. And you got a rookie quarterback that's getting hit. I think Caleb Williams has been the most hit quarterback this season. That's a rumor for disaster. Let's be honest here. That's a rumor for disaster. And all I'm saying is that with this move with Thomas Brown, he's a quality guy, played at the University of Georgia, saw him play high school football at Tucker High School. He's all state, played under Mark Richt, a very intelligent guy. A lot of people saying, well, he was let go last year in Carolina. But I think the Bears made the best available decision. I would not want them to sit Caleb Williams, but you brought up a good point to me, Harper, before we came on today. And I kind of agree with Mr. LeBel. Harper, tell the audience what you told me about the benching of Caleb Williams. You brought up a good point, and some of the veterans said.
Well, there are a lot of rumors that are going around, and I'm not in the locker room, and neither are you, but some are saying that he should be benched. And there's others that were thinking that you can take that and look at it another way. They may be going, hey, take him off the field because you're going to hurt him.
Right.
We don't want that. We've invested our fame and fortune into this young man. You got to protect him. And when you do, then let him go back out there. But protect him, give him a chance to heal up and not have to throw the ball away every time. Real simple, just protect your quarterback. And if I can be brief with you, I still remember Drew Brees going absolutely bonkers and racing into the general manager's office there in New Orleans when both of his guards, and they were all pros, were up for renegotiation, and the Saints were thinking of letting him go. They couldn't afford him. The salary cap issue. Now, part of that was because Drew was making so much money, but Drew went in there and go, get these two guys back, or else we're not going to have an offense. Tom Brady, same type of thing. Logan Landers was up, and when he got traded to Tampa Bay, Brady goes into general manager's office and starts throwing his hat and getting really upset. How can you let that guy go? We need to re-sign him. Offensive people understand. If you can't protect your quarterback, it doesn't matter who's back there. You name the best quarterback ever, Johnny Unitas. They couldn't protect him. Joe Montana, they couldn't protect him. Jim McMahon, they couldn't protect him in Chicago. They couldn't do it. And he ends up having a very average season, and before you know it, he gets booed off the field. So you got to protect your quarterback, invest, and you have some pieces around there. Now you need to invest in your offensive line. Look what Detroit has done. First rounder, second rounder, first rounder. And Jared Goff is off the charts. He's having a great season. And he's having a great career in Detroit. And watch out if they win a Super Bowl. But long story short, I was telling you before we went on the air, man, you got to protect your quarterback. It's vital.
He's not going to be successful, man. I don't care who it is. So that's my final words. Oh, excuse me. To all you writers, and one writer particularly that's calling Caleb Williams an epic bust and an overhyped prospect. You heard it from the man that has respect. You didn't play in the league. All you are is a former scout. And I'm throwing it out there to you today. And you know what I'm talking about. No quarterback is going to be successful on any level if his offensive line is horrible. Back to you, Harper.
Yeah, I would say epic bust. Come on, guys. It's way too early for that. And he's a starting quarterback in the National Football League. I don't know how you're a bust when that happens, but maybe a different word. We'll find out. But let's go into some of the action this week. Let's look at who's playing. Thursday night features a game that will have real critical implications there for the NFC East, where Washington bring their 7-3 record into Philadelphia. Eagles are 7-2. I'm very surprised. After the Falcons beat them in week 2 on a Monday night game, I'm thinking maybe a little bit of a carryover from last year. Remember, the Eagles really struggled late in the season last year. They made the playoffs, but they kind of limped into it. And they've certainly corrected some things there. Jalen Hurts is having a great year right now, 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, but he has been sacked 26 times. But is anyone not surprised with how well the Commanders have done? 7-3. Vincent, your thoughts on this one?
I'm going to start with Dan Quinn. Things didn't end well for him here in Atlanta, but he did get the Falcons to a Super Bowl. He goes over there to Dallas, has a good few seasons as a defensive coordinator. And him being hired as a head coach again, I was kind of, we know he's a good D coordinator, but we saw what happened here in Atlanta. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm surprised. Surprised on 2 levels. His ability to bring in Cliff Kingsbury, who was a former head coach at Arizona, and the job he's done as an OC. And then Jaden Daniels. Looking at Jaden Daniels at LSU, I remember his first year when he transferred from Arizona State, he had problems with his accuracy. He improved the next year, and obviously he won the Heisman his last year at LSU. But I did not think that he will perform on that level with Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator. And with Dan Quinn being the head coach, I'm going to be honest, they are the most surprising story in the National Football League, in my opinion, this year. And you know what? They are a very dangerous football team. But Quinn and the brass over there, the new owner, Josh Harris, they brought in Zach Ertz, who's a very good football player at the tight end position. They brought in Bobby Wagner, who's a mainstay with the Seattle Seahawks for a long year. He's played outstanding well for him. And Jeremy Chin. I don't know what has happened to him, but he's been one of the best safeties in the game this season. That is a very impressive performance what the Washington Commanders are doing. Now to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm like you, Harper. I had a little I said, okay, they might be going a step back after they lost to the Falcons on Monday night. But I would say this, Saquon Barkley, when he's healthy, there's no question about it. Him and Christian McCaffrey are the two best running backs in pro football right now. And on the defensive side of the ball, I know a lot of people were getting upset that they was drafting a lot of players from Georgia. Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Kelly Ringo, them dogs barking in Philadelphia. That's a Super Bowl team. And Jalen Hurts, even though he's been sacked a lot, Harper, it looked like he's a different individual as a leader. Back to you, Harper.
Yeah, interesting. Saquon with the move before, when you up going backwards while you're going forwards and leaping over a defender trying to catch you low. That was amazing. He has 6 touchdowns. He's averaging 5.8 yards per carry. He's got 991 yards. And, oh, by the way, Philadelphia's run game, they're number 2 in the league right now. They're pretty dang good. They're scoring 25 points a game. That's 7th in the NFL. But their defense, they're still bringing it. They average 17 points a game given up. They've got 25 sacks, 6 interceptions, and 6 fumble recoveries. But here's what might be a difference maker. I'm going to read this off. Brian Robinson, questionable, the running back, and he's been amazing. But Austin Eckler could end up filling in. Austin's averaging 5.2 yards per carry if he does end up. And by the way, Jaden Daniels has 4 touchdowns, and he's averaging 5.5 yards a carry in spite of those 20 sacks that he has. But Brandon Coleman, their left tackle, Cornelius Lucas, the backup left tackle, Tyler Biadasz, if I'm saying that correctly, their center, and Andrew Wiley, the right tackle, are all questionable for this week. And then Cleland Farrell, their defensive end. So a lot of injuries right now, and that could be a factor in this game. But still, 7-3 and 7-2, 2 teams in the AFC East going at it. And that should be a great game. Another one that we're going to be looking at, this will be a Sunday game. And if I didn't mention it, by the way, the Washington at Philadelphia game is a Thursday nighter, and that'll be at 8:15 on Prime. Sunday, Baltimore at 7-3 goes into Pittsburgh at 7-2. Goodness gracious. Now, you talk about great running backs. Derrick Henry's having a fantastic year, and I'm sure he'd want to be included in the Vincent Turner top 3 in terms of great running backs. But Baltimore, I don't know about these guys. The Ravens turn it on, and sometimes they turn it off. Their numbers speak for themselves. They're amazing, but Pittsburgh is playing really well right now, and Wilson might be that little piece that they were kind of missing from the beginning of the year. Vincent, give us your thoughts about the Baltimore Ravens heading into Pittsburgh.
This is a bottom-run Ravens team. 2 weeks ago, I said they were Super Bowl quality. Then they come back, they lose to Cleveland. Then they beat Denver 41-10. Then they had a real close victory over Cincinnati. I'm agree with you, Harper. They got all the talent in the world to be in that, I won't say conversation of being a Super Bowl challenging team. But again, you just don't know what you're going to get. They have not really been consistent. They're 7-3. They should be undefeated if you really want to know the truth. All I'm going to say is this. Derrick Henry has been a very important piece, and he's really, really taken a lot of pressure off Lamar Jackson. Defensively, Raquan Smith is, one of the best linebackers in the game right now. But Kyle Hamilton, who I consider one of the top safeties in the game, has been fighting injuries. So that's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to play on Sunday. Pittsburgh. Wow. I was pulling for Justin Fields to be the starter. I'm not going to tell no lie here today on 100 yards of football. They got the best defensive player in the league in T.J. Watt. Joey Porter has played at a high level. Patrick Queen, who came over from Baltimore to Pittsburgh, is one of those Pro Bowl players. But the last few weeks, I got to say this. I thought Russell Wilson had lost it a little bit. I thought the young man by way of North Carolina State and Wisconsin, I thought he was slipping. But, man, let's be honest. He's been that guy the last 3 weeks. And what he's brought to Pittsburgh is that deep ball game. All you got to look is how George Pickens has played over the last few weeks. And look what happened last week. Mike Williams, that came in a trade. What did Russell Wilson do? As we say in the neighborhood, in the 901, bombs away, bombs away. Look at that ball in the air. Pretty. Back to you, Harper.
Yeah, guess what? You protect your quarterback and he can throw it deep. Good things happen. Defense, I think that'll be the key for this one. Pittsburgh's number 2 in the league right now. They average 16 points a ball game. Baltimore, not quite so much. They're giving up 25 points a game. They're in the bottom portion of the NFL in terms of that at 25. They've got 31 sacks, Baltimore does. 6 interceptions, 4 fumble recoveries. They can play the game, but I think it'll come down to running. Number 1 rushing team in the league is the Baltimore Ravens, but don't count out Najee Harris. They're number 8 right now. They're averaging 138 yards a ball game, but that should be a fantastic football game. I'm looking forward to that. 1 o'clock on Sunday through CBS. Next game we're going to look at Seattle 4-5 against 5-4 San Francisco. Arizona's leading the division right now, but this one, right, it gets you right back where you need to be. Arizona is 6-4. San Francisco's hosting this one, and they're starting to get things together. But Seattle really needs this. They've lost 4 out of the last 5. They were in a position earlier in the year to where, we got things right where we need them. Not so much now, right, Vincent?
Seattle, I got to give credit to Mike McDonald. I didn't think Seattle would play up to the capabilities of being even mentioned in the race over there in the NFC West. I think he's done an outstanding job, but as we always say, the quarterback position is the most important position. When you look at that game that the Seahawks lost to the Rams, Geno Smith did throw for 363 yards in that game, but you know what? He had 3 picks. And one of those picks was a 106-yard pick by Cameron Kitchens, the safety from the Rams. Geno Smith has been one of those quarterbacks. We know he's talented, but the one thing he's had problems with is turnovers. So I look at Seattle going into San Francisco. They should not really be there. They're played above their means. DK Metcalf, their best player, has been hurt over the last few weeks. And they're playing a San Francisco team that's had a lot going on. A lot of injuries, a lot of other stuff off the field, a player losing his daughter, another player being political. I'm going to put it out there. So the 49ers have had a lot going on. But I knew this about their football team. Once you bring Christian McCaffrey back, it opens up everything for Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Jawan Jennings. And defensively, they still got Fred Warner and a lot of other good players over there with Nick Bosa. So this is a Frisco team that I still consider the best team in the division. I think this is a statement game for them. And I think they're going to roll Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks.
Seahawks are number 1 in passing at 268. That's the amount of yards they have per game. Guess who's number 2? San Francisco at 262. Real close difference between the two. Brock Purdy has been average, but that's good enough with a bunch of guys around him. I think George Kittle, with the injury situation the way that it is, will need to come through. He's got 40 receptions, 560 yards. He's got 7 touchdowns already. So interesting ball game here. One thing I was going to mention about, you mentioned DK Metcalf being injured. Jackson Smith in Jigba, that kid can play. Watch him to be maybe a number 1 receiver here in the very, very near future, especially if DK is out. This guy's averaging 11.4. He's got 3 touchdowns, but he's a player right now. And I think Geno will go to him, especially with some deeper routes. They're going to have to because their running game, they're struggling right now. They're 27th in the league. So we'll see how this turns out. But this is a 4 o'clock game on Sunday. And then, to me, the game of the week, and I'm sure the networks are clamoring over, why didn't we get this for the game or for at least the Sunday evening game? But one that all eyes will be on, Kansas City, after a rough win, and I say that, they blocked a kick into the game that would have put Denver up, but they get the block. They end up winning the ball game and keeping their undefeated record. They travel to Buffalo The Bills are 8-2, Vincent, and I just don't know if the Bills have hit the level that they need to right now. They're nice and smooth motion. They're doing things right, but do they have what it takes to bring down the mighty Kansas City Chiefs?
Statement game for the Buffalo Bills, who's been their nemesis the last few years in the playoffs. It's been Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Josh Allen, he knows this. Each year you play in this league, you get older. Each time you get opportunities to be on the top of that plateau. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills on Sunday. I think this is their time. I think Amari Cooper is coming back this week. I think James Cook proved to you what type of offense Buffalo can be. Last week, what he have, 90 yards against Indianapolis. Defensively, I think Von Miller might be coming back. I like what they're doing. Dorian Williams, the outstanding linebacker people not talking about, is playing at a Pro Bowl level. Taylor Rapp, the safety out of Washington who has a Super Bowl ring with the LA Rams, is playing at a Pro Bowl level. And Sean McDermott knows this. The Chiefs are for, I want to say, they're not playing like Chiefs of the past. Kansas City has really gotten lucky this year. And they really should have lost their game last week against Denver. But when you're great teams, you find ways to win. I got to give it to them. But let's be honest, they have not played well offensively. Their defense has held them together with Chris Jones and Nick Bolton. But I think Buffalo realizes that if we're going to get over the top, it's like the great Ric Flair. To beat a man, you got to beat the man. In Buffalo, if Patrick Mahomes wasn't on the other side in the West, we could probably talk about Josh Allen having 2 Super Bowl rings. This is a statement game for the Buffalo Bills. Back to you, Harper.
Yeah, if they lose this again, what do we got to do? How are we going to beat these guys? We couldn't beat them in Kansas City. We had a playoff game last year against them in our own building. It was cold. We should have had everything going our way. Just a tough team. And I'm good. I know it. If I'm a Bills fan, if I'm in the Bills Mafia, we've got a really good team. But we have to think in the back of our mind, yeah, we good team, but we haven't been able to beat Kansas City with any type of consistency. So this will be a key, as you mentioned, keynote game. City 9 passing, 15th in rushing. They're number 17 points a ball game. Buffalo, on the other hand, they can score now 29 points a game. That's third in the NFL. 19 points a game is what they give up. That's in the top 10. They're 9th right now. So it'll be an interesting game. James Cook has rushed for 576 yards. He has 8 touchdowns. The team has 15 on the ground. And Khalil Shaker, receptions for him. And how many does Kelsey have? I have that written down, but Kelsey's got 2. Wright has 2. Xavier Worthy has 3. Hopkins has 2. It's really interesting to see how Patrick Mahomes has spread the ball out to a bunch of different receivers, just kind of getting through the first part of the season, the middle portion where we are right now. I think they're going to start turning it on and realize that, okay, pretty soon, we better be 9-0. It's unbelievable how good they play. Very fascinating the story behind that. The Miami Dolphins, and we lost Mercury. We talked about him a little bit earlier in the year. They're going to be getting a little more nervous when you got a 10-0 team with 7 weeks left. We'll see if they get to pop the champagne once Kansas City loses, and one of the big opportunities to knock them off is from the Buffalo Bills this week. Last game that we're going to look at, it's a Monday night game. It'll be at 8:20. Losers of 3 of the last 4. Houston ends up going into Dallas. Does Houston need a game like this to help their season around, Vincent? Because the Cowboys are already weaker than what we ever expected them to be. And with Dak out for the rest of the season, they're going to be just trying to put fingers in the holes that are in the dam of what they've been going through in T Stadium on Monday night.
I'm going to say this. When you have a cold, you go to the your local pharmacy and you get cold medicine to fix the problem. The Houston Texans, they're going to fix the problem on Monday night. The Dallas Cowboys is going to be their medicine. Starting with Houston, they've struggled a little bit over the past few weeks. They lost a tough Sunday night game to the Detroit Lions. Really, to me, I played Detroit all over the field that night. C.J. Stroud is kind of, I want to say, starting to maybe be a little bit inconsistent, but I think that's just the rules of him being a second-year player in the league. Joe Mixon has been pretty good for them. But at the receiver spot, Stephon Diggs is out for the year with torn ACL, and I think Nico Collins, when he gets back, the Texans are going to be a team that's going to play at a level that we're going to be talking about. It's going to be a very dangerous team in the playoffs. Now to my Dallas Cowboys. A lot of things I can go and say here, but I'm going to say this. Dallas has some problems. And you know Harper yourself, great teams, they don't have 2 or 3 players. They have a collection of at least 12 or 13 players. When I look at the Dallas Cowboys roster, I just don't see talent. I only see really one talented player with 2 talented players that if Dallas had to change it around that they can trade to get picks will be Michael Parsons and C.D. Lamb. So I think it's a critical part of what the Cowboys are going to do over the next few weeks. You need players, man. And I would think strongly of trading Michael Parsons where you can get draft picks. I really would, the Cowboy Nation. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that today, but Dallas is in serious trouble. And I knew that was going to happen when they decided to give Dak Prescott that money on the first weekend against the Cleveland Browns. I knew what type of team Dallas had. They weren't very talented at the start. And it just bothers me. And I'm going to say this point once again, as long as I'm on the face of the earth. When the Cowboys would win their Super Bowls in the mid-90s, of course, they had the triplets, Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. But what won them championships, they were strong on both lines of the scrimmage, and especially in the defensive line. Russell Maryland, Jimmy Jones, Leon Lett, Chad Hennings. It blows me since 96 the Cowboys have not drafted a defensive lineman of that quality. It's unbelievable. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Well, the Cowboys are certainly going through a tremendous amount of struggle right now. They can't run the ball. They haven't been able to protect Dak well enough. So you put some of those things together, and you attribute it to the offensive line a little bit. You can attribute it to coaching, but you mentioned the team chemistry in terms of the talent level. It's a little bit lower than what the Cowboys' expectations have been in the past, and certainly for their fans. Let's take a quick look before we go. The leaders of each division. In the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills are the leaders at 8-2. Pittsburgh Steelers are 7-2. They're leading the AFC North, with the Ravens at 7-3 right behind them. In the AFC South, the Houston Texans are 6-4, and then the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs are 9-0. And in the NFC, the Eastern leaders right now are Philadelphia at 7-2, with the Commanders 7-3 right behind them. We mentioned that as a game that we're going to watch. Detroit is 8-1. They're in the NFC North. They're leaders. The Atlanta Falcons at 6-4 are the NFC South leaders, and then the Arizona Cardinals are 6-4. Any surprises there, Vincent?
Like I said, you got to be really surprised on what the Washington Commanders have done with Jaden Daniels. I got to say once again, kudos to Dan Quinn. I think he's done the best job this year in the National Football League, along with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury. Jaden Daniels has played flawless this year. And when you look at that, a new owner, new coach, a rookie quarterback, second overall pick to be 7-3 in a legitimate playoff team, that's very impressive in the first year, man. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Yeah, I'm really surprised with them as well. They picked second in the draft, and now they're in a position where they're leading their division, and they're there where they need to be. They win this ball game, and then they will have the advantage over Philadelphia. So the future certainly looks bright in Washington, even just for this season, not alone what should be coming up in the next few years. Well, that's a look at the NFL action for this week. It's week 11, in National Football League. And we want to thank you for tuning in. So for Logan, our producer, Turner, the host of the show, I'm Harper LeBel saying thank you for tuning in to 100 of football, again, the NFL edition. We appreciate you being a part of it. Have a great day, everybody, and thank you again for tuning in.